When it comes to tradition or Western, the first thing that strikes in our mind is the dress we wear. Well, there are many other stuff other than just dresses, the food, religious or cultural practices, and makeup, and many more. So is the tradition necessary, or westernization is a compulsion? But remember, your comfortability without disturbing others is your right. That's democracy. So just because you are born in a country doesn't mean you are compelled to follow their practice. Follow the culture that suits you the most. But make sure to live in the country first. It's like, just because you have a brown or a tan skin doesn't mean you can't become fair. If you want to become fair, you can. Just because you're fair doesn't mean you can become tan. So your birth doesn't give the people rights to take over you. It's up to you whom you want to be and which practice you have to follow.
India has 28 states and 4 major different religions, each of which follows a particular rules in the name of tradition, all imposed only to improve the quality of life. But what is the current status? Are we using it for the goal intended? Is it bringing peace and prosperity among people? No. Instead, we are just breaking people and dragging us down. In the name of traditional values, some of us are abusing people, some of them are getting stressed, people are being harassed by talking ill about each other's traditional values. This has to stop. We all are equal as humans. We have separated and are part of communities which we were born into. It's nothing we chose. It's something in which that we were born into. We have to take up certain responsibilities only to improve ourselves personally and lead a prosperous life. So kindly not see it as a burden, and kindly don't tease and harass others for following it. Instead, try and follow it. I promise you, you will be benefited more than you know. The transformation is simply amazing.
You may think when we talk about tradition, but we are in a modern world. We are in the 21st century and everything is modernizing and advancing. Yes, that's true. We can evolve and adapt to the changes. But it doesn't mean that we have to change who we are. Because according to me, changing yourself only to adapt and not to please others. So don't force yourself into something you're not. Doing something that snatches your identity and destroys yourself, it's a complete nonsense.
People may think, are they asking us not to appreciate modernization? For people who are having this question in their mind, listen carefully, bro. Appreciating and accepting modernization and being addicted and enslaved is totally different. Your tradition is who you are. The morals speak for yourself. If you try and change it, then you are destroying yourself little by little. So choose wisely, people.
And like I said earlier, if you are born in one country, it doesn't mean you should contain your mind in one limited practice. Because you can eat, wear, and live what practice makes you comfortable, but it really shows who you really are, your true self. The dress you wear reveals your attitude, the food you eat reveals your personality. So keep that in mind, and also don't compare any other tradition with yours. Don't criticize or discourage other practices. Remember, every tradition or religious practice has its own good and bad side. So take the good and don't just ignore the negativity. Try to evolve or upgrade the bad side of a practice. First, define who you are. Define what principles and values you follow. Then adapt them to your style, and don't just follow some ethic based on a peer compulsion or a TV show. Spend a moment to think about it.
Living in the 21st century and adapting modernization is important because the world is changing each and every second, and we have to adapt in order to fit in this competing world. But that now has been reinstated that we have to change ourselves completely, including our character, our personality, and our attitude. We can adapt to the modern world and just use it wherever required. Other times, we should be truly who we are. Never change yourself for anyone and anything at any cost, because that will just mess up everything you have currently going. People who are totally consumed by traditionality and don't accept modernization, I have something to tell you guys. Choosing modernization and adapting oneself to it is a very personal decision. You cannot go on commenting wrong about a person who is broad-minded and ready to try out new stuff. You may be jealous that you are not able to do so, or you just won't like the idea of it. Whatever it is, just keep your opinions to yourself, because one wrong comment about a person can destroy more than the self-image and confidence a person has in themselves.
Learn to love, respect, and cherish the cultures of others too. without changing yourself. But remember, following a different culture and different soil is always difficult, and you might get different impacts for your actions because it's completely new for the people in the home soil too. So embrace the future and be yourself. So the practice you follow should uplift the society instead of disgracing it. So either stand bold for your choices and create a positive impact with like-minded people, or stand out or move out to places where they follow your culture.
This is not just about this topic, guys. This is for everyone who's listening right now. It applies in all the fields. Don't ever give a negative or image-shattering comment to a person. It may destroy them as a whole. Instead, if you're really concerned, put it out in a more polite and friendly way. Anyway, coming back to the topic. Western versus modernization is not a topic to debate in between, but is the thing we have to think deeply about, where we have to keep one always in our hearts and never forget wherever we go, and the other to use as a tool to improve and get a respectable status and move along with the world and not being left behind. Modernization is very much essential for survival nowadays. If we cannot adapt, at least appreciate others and provide your full support as long as it is for the right reasons.
In the end, it's all about knowing your true identity and reflecting it in your lifestyle. If you want to remain traditional, fine. If you want to upgrade, that's good. But in the end, it's all about the positive impacts you create in evolving the modern society with your cultured ethics. Explore, and if you want, do exchange, but don't limit yourself to one particular society and disgrace the other practices. Culture and tradition is not a set of rules, it's the practice you follow so you can relate to your true self with this society.